Okay, today we're going to find the length of the curve. So we have an equation f at x is equals to x cubed over 6 plus 1 over 2x. So we have to find the length of the curve for x from 1 up to 3. So first thing first that we are going to do, we are going to derive the equation. When we derive the equation, it's gonna be 3 multiplied by x cubed over 6, and then you subtract a 1 from that exponent. So we are going to have x cubed over 2. Okay, remember 3 multiplied by x cubed over 6 is gonna be 3 over 6, then it gives us 1 over 2. Then you multiply by x squared, it be x squared over 2. And then when we derive 1 over 2x, we are going to put the x in negative exponent of course, and then it's gonna be negative 1 multiplied by 1 over 2, then we get minus 1 over 2, and then you subtract 1 from the negative 1, then we'll have negative 2. Then now that we have x to the power negative 2, you put it in we're going to put it in a positive form, so it's gonna be 1 over x squared. So 1 over 2 multiplied by 1 over x squared is gonna give us 1 over 2x squared. So from there we have a common factor, which is 1 over 2. We're going to take it out, and then we're going to have 1 over 2 into x squared minus 1 over 2x squared. And then from there we are going to substitute on our equation. The equation, the length is denoted by s, which is going to be equals to the sign of integration, then b, and then a at the bottom. The b represent the higher value and the a represent the lower value. Okay, and then the square root of 1 plus the derivative of the function squared, then the x outside of the square root. So now we're going to substitute whatever that we got from deriving from the derivative. Okay, so it's gonna be 1 plus you substitute your derived function, which is 1 over 2 into x squared minus 1 over x squared. Then we square everything. Okay, from there the next step is gonna be the integration. For now, let's ignore the 3 and 1 and focus on the square root. So it's gonna be the integration of the square root of 1 plus what is the okay, the 1 over 2 squared is going to give us 1 over 4. Okay, so it's gonna be 1 over 4, then we leave the x squared minus 1 over x squared, it be all squared. Okay, so moving to the next step, we're going to have 1 plus, and then we expand this one since it is squared. So when we expand it, we're going to have 2 brackets. Okay, then we move to another step. So we are going to have 1 plus 1 over 4, and the simplified answer there, which is x to the power 4 minus 2 plus 1 over x to the power 4 is from that equation, from the x squared minus 1 over x squared into x squared minus 1 over x squared, is from third step. So from there we are going to move to on our right side at the top. So we're going to simplify whatever that we have. So when we simplify, okay, before we simplify, okay, simplify of course. So we're going to multiply 1 over 4. Isn't it that we have 1 plus, then we multiply that 1 over 4 on into the bracket. So it's gonna be 1 over 4x to the power 4. And then when we multiply 1 over 4 by 2, I mean negative 2, we're going to have negative 1 over 2 plus 1 over 4x to the power 4. Then don't forget to put the x outside. And then the next step is the simplified form, which is when you subtract 1 over 2 from 1, we are going to have 1 over 2, which is positive. Okay, simplified here, we have 1 over 4 multiplied by x to the power 4 plus 1 over 2 plus 1 over 4 x to the power 4. Okay, and then the next term, we take out the common factor. So for, okay, we think that 1 over 4 is the common factor. We can take it as a common factor. So when you take 1 over 4 as a common factor, we're going to have 1 over 4 into x to the power 4, and then plus 2. Remember, if we multiply 2 by 1 over 4, we're going to have 1 over 2. So it'd be 2 years, and then the other one will be left with 1 over x to the power 4 dx outside the square root. So now that we have 1 over 4 inside the square root, we are going to simplify it. Then if you punch that on the calculator, or yes, yeah, on the calculator, you'll see that it will give you 1 over 2. Okay, then we take it as a constant, then we take it, so it will be okay outside the integration, I can see. So now that we are left with x to the power 4 plus 2 plus 1 over x to the power 4 inside the square root, we're going to simplify it. Okay, more like factorizing, I can see. Yeah, we're going to factorize, and then when we factorize, we have two brackets which are the same. So on the next step, we square them. When we square them, the square root of a squared number is that particular number, so we will remain with x squared plus 1 over x squared. So the integration of 1 over 2, I mean, okay, we'll have 1 over 2, the integration, then x squared plus 1 over x squared dx. So when we integrate x squared plus 1 over x squared, we'll have x cubed over 3 minus what? Minus 1 over x. If you use that general formula of x, n plus 1 over n plus 1, it will give you this. And then you simplify everything, we're going to have x cubed over 6 minus 1 over 2x. Then we put square bracket, we have 3 as our b, and then 1 as our a. And then from there we are going to substitute. So remember, when we substitute, okay, here I started with 3. So remember, it's what? It's b minus a. Okay, so the first one is going to subtract the second one. So when we substitute 3 on the first,